Hey everyone, thank you and welcome back to a brand new episode of Coffee with the Beauty Reviewer. And today, folks, is going to be my very last video of the DCEU movies that has led up to this point for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I just want to tell you that this is my review for the movie Aquaman. So, without doubt out of the way, let's get started with today's review. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching my channel, and please like and comment down below, and please subscribe to my channel as it really helps me out. And let's get started with today's video. So Aquaman stars Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, Willem Dafoe, and a few other really good actors that's in this movie, but overall I just have to tell you that this movie it's by far one of the best action-packed movies in the DCEU. Ocean Master versus Aquaman in the arena, you can see these long takes of the action. It just feels so grounded to the point that it really dives you in, pun intended. Anyways, overall this is just a very fun movie that anyone would enjoy it. I think it just roots down to the fact that Aquaman has always been kind of like a laughing stock in the world of comic books, because his outfit is kind of ridiculous. Just the way he talks is ridiculous. Just everything that is all Aquaman is complete cheese fest. And they completely went all out on the cheese fest in this movie. There's a lot of very corny moments. There's a lot of weird dialogue, and there's just a lot of very out there CGI, very out there aquamarine life. And I think that's the very thing that just makes me enjoy this movie so much, is that they're not trying to take this movie seriously. They know why Aquaman is such a very underrated superhero. But when you look at the actual superpowers that he has, is that he's actually very powerful. And so I just really appreciate that they just did this showcasing of how very powerful he can be, but did it in such a very cheesy way, even when it came down to just how Jason Momoa would just take the trident and just kind of do this superhero pose, holding on to just a trident in general. You really can't showcase yourself for looking very cool, but somehow it actually looks really cool, really cheesy, and entertaining at every single time that he does it. Yeah, the movie is very campy, very cheesy, very corny. They completely emphasized on all those aspects of the character. And you know what? The director himself, he's given us some incredible movies in his career. So I was all for with this guy directing this movie. Not to mention that he is more commonly a horror director. And it was the same thing with the Shazam director. He was a horror director, so you got Shazam and Aquaman being directed by horror champions. I think I'm starting to see a trend here. Isn't it just me, or do we all think that horror directors are becoming really good directors? The CGI is definitely fantastic. There are several moments that it's just painfully obvious that it's CGI. But I just could not emphasize of how much of a cheese fest of a movie this is. It knows it's cheesy. It knows what it is. But the only thing that I think that they're trying really too hard is that it felt like that they were trying to go with a movie that would have a soundtrack of very much like Guardians of the Galaxy. And the soundtrack with this movie did not work at all. Because they went from doing to rock, to pop, to funk, to all these different kinds of genres, and I'm what is going on here? Are you trying to make us watch something that is supposed to be a music video or something? But no, we're watching a superhero movie about Aquaman. But seriously, if you ever told me that I would actually like Aquaman now, you'll be crazy. Because I never thought I would actually like the character of Aquaman, because I've always hated him. I always despised Aquaman, but ever since Jason Momoa came out being kind of like this badass, like cooler and gritty, but yet kind of like a campy version of Aquaman, and it just works so well. Why did they not create Aquaman to be more like this? I mean, yes, I actually did like Aquaman in the Justice League TV show back in the late 90s and early 2000s. I loved that show. And so it really felt like I was watching a cartoon with this movie. I mean, not so much as a cartoon, but it just felt like that I was just kind of like brought back to how I felt about the Aquaman from that TV show. I mean, yes, he was very corny, but somehow he had like this gritty thing to him. Like he had a hook for a hand. So like you could definitely tell that there's like some good stories to tell about Aquaman, because he's like this reluctant hero. He is best of both worlds. He's both a human and an Atlantean. And his half brother from his mother's side, he was kind of manipulated by his dad. And so like, if you all know that it also had Nicole Kidman, and she actually fell in love with Aquaman's dad, a lighthouse man. And so you got these two characters. I gotta admit, the de-aging on both Nicole Kidman and the guy that plays Aquaman's dad, it did not work for me. But either way, when they kicked off into that action scene in the lighthouse, incredible action. Like I said before, is that the action in this movie is so much fun. You could not take your eyes off of it, because you're just so mesmerized just by how incredible the action is. And even the action in the water is a lot of fun to watch, because like you're really seeing like the ripples of the water. You're just seeing like all the effects of the water, and it just looks so good. But with the fact that Atlan, Nicole Kidman, she knew that she had to go back to Atlantis, because what she did is that she actually tried to run away from a marriage that she never wanted, but she fell in love with a human, had Aquaman, and so like because of their love became Aquaman. And that's just the very thing that I really enjoy about the story, is that it just really felt like that it was very Shakespearean, which I think I really enjoyed that element. They just really showcased that there was like this forbidden love, then you got the reluctant hero, then you had to see this whole fight between two half-brothers to become king to save both the human race and the Atlanteans. So you got like these different ideals, you got like these good characters that you can get by. I mean, like you can actually get by Ocean Master, because you completely understand where he's coming from, is that he felt like that because of what happened to his mother, and the fact that she had a bastard son, and the fact that man has really like polluted the oceans. Like you can actually understand where he's coming from, because he actually wants to make sure that his home will prosper, but he was taking on kind of like this evil plan to take over the entire surface world. That's where he was in the wrong. And that's why I really appreciate that there was like an ideal battle between the brothers. So I just really enjoyed just how this movie just went beat for beat for beat. And I just really have to say is that this movie is just it's a very unique take on Aquaman, but I absolutely just love the stuff that they did with this movie. But it's not perfect. But I still think that this is a very strong movie that really showcases just kind of like the campiness of Aquaman himself. In some cases, it felt like that they were trying too hard with the whole soundtrack. It just didn't work with the movie. And there was some acting in the movie that just felt very weird, and it felt out of place. But overall, this movie, it's a strong contender for being one among like the top 10 best DC movies of all time. And I just want to say that this movie has a fantastic entertainment value of exactly 10 because I am entertained all throughout from the beginning to end. But when it comes down to kind of like the acting and just kind of like a little bit of like the special effects and just a couple of things here and there, but it felt like a lot of the stuff was more of on like the nitpick side of it. But overall, this movie has an average rating of 8.3. So that was my review for Aquaman, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching my video. And I just want to tell you that yes, I am autistic, but you can obviously tell that I'm doing very well for myself, and I couldn't have done it without God. I couldn't have done it with my wife, my daughter, my family, my friends. And I just want to say thank you for watching my video, and let's spread out the word that the good news is that you can look at me, you can look at my best friend David. Like, there's a lot of good people out there that is within the spectrum of autism, that there's always hope. That's all I'm trying to do, is that there's always hope, and there's always an upside for being autistic. So if you know anyone who is autistic, or you're autistic yourself, yeah, just keep watching on my videos, and let's spread the word, and hopefully that everyone can tell that being autistic is not bad. But I would say being autistic is a privilege. And so, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you guys next time.